Good.
You're live.
Okay.
You're live.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Great Lakes Outdoors podcast. We're sitting here with two Chris's. I don't want to get confused just yet. Chris with me in the studio.
Yep,
How are you doing
yep.
today?
We're doing good. Had a good day today.
Everybody's watching. Bear with us. It's our first recorded podcast like this, but we also got Chris Brent, Louisiana boy, the guy that I've only talked to twice on the. This is the second time on the phone, but I also feel like I've known you for years, man. How you doing?
It's great, man. And now, we've definitely had some pretty deep conversations.
You ain't
two
lying,
times.
man.
So
I'm glad. I'm glad we were able to do it so quick, and I don't know, just make it all happen. And we got some good conversations. We had to cut ourselves off already.
I think it's been about a 2-week deal that. Just like
I don't even know if it's been that, has it? No, it hasn't. Because I was on afternoons, I think, last week. So I mean, it's been a little over a week, maybe.
Yeah, probably about last week or about 10 days.
But tell everybody who Chris Brent is. Who are you? Where are you from? What you do?
Oh, man, put me on the spot. All right, I'm Chris, obviously. Born and raised in the Mississippi Delta, over in Greenville. Whole bunch of bean fields and hunting. That's all we got down there is farming and hunting year round. Met my wife a couple years back and wound up hopping the bridge, moving over to Louisiana, sportsman state. I'm a big outdoorsman, love to hunt, so it's kind of a no-brainer to move over here where everybody loves it just as much as I do. Most people, if you know me, it's going to be from Instagram, social media.
That's how we met.
Photographer, man. Yeah, it's going to be from photography, if you know me, or at an event, expo, we've met. But I think I've been doing photography about 2-3 years now, and man, it is skyrocketed.
What got you
really
into
fast.
photography? Like, what kind of made you take that jump? Because that is a big, jump with your pockets as one, and then taking the gun away from you as another.
Honestly, it was YouTube. YouTube did me in, watching 3K Productions, Daybreak Outdoors, guys like that. So I sit at the house at night and, or heck, even on the tractor when I was farming, just throw up the tablet up there, pull up some duck hunting. It's the middle of summer. I'm fiending for the duck. So you got to satisfy it somehow. That's what we started doing. I started watching YouTube, and one day I was kind of like, man.
Until you seen the price of that one.
Well, no, actually, man, I wound up getting the first camera off of Facebook for about $300.
Oh.
Lady, no, it was a full setup too. Initially, I just wanted to take stills, and deeper down the road, I kind of always had it in the back of my mind, like, man, it would be awesome to be like Daybreak Outdoors in 3K and record my hunts and whatever. But push come to shove, and I wound up just getting just a Canon. I think it's a T1. I think it's a T1.
That's a huge thing. Canon, and what's the other camera?
There's Sony too.
Oh man!
Well, there's like the debate on like the Canon and whatever other cameras. Like everybody's like cutthroat against one other person or
Sony.
It's crazy. Canon, so it's just crazy how competitive it is.
It's a back and forth battle on who's the best, who's got the best technology. Like I said, I started out with a Canon. Now I'm a Sony person, man, through and through. I don't think I could step away from a Sony.
Just easier to run.
Not necessarily. Once you learn a camera, they're all easy. It's learning the particular body of camera that you have, the setup. The software is all about the same. The dials, manual, exposure priority, aperture priority, shutter speed, that's all the same. The internals on the camera is what make them different. The lenses that they have to offer make them different. My thing with Sony at the time that I got a Sony, you had a lot of third-party lenses that you could get. Sigma, Tamron. I mean, there's a bunch. But when you can get access to those third-party lenses, they're usually coming in several $100s cheaper than the name brand lens that matches with that body. So I kind of shifted that way. I got in with a group of buddies. They all ran Sonys. One of them, he had a nice little flip out screen, man. And you thought I was a kid in a candy shop when I saw that. I was amazed. My old camera, it went down, and I was like, man, I've got to get one. I've got to get one of those. He had a little flip out screen. I was like, in my head, I'm already picturing all the images and the different angles that I can take with this flip out screen. So I bite the bullet, get one, get a couple, like I think 2 third-party lenses to go with it because they were cheap. And, man, I ran that for a year and a half or so before I finally upgraded to a deep pocket lens and set up. But
now, is that just for the pictures that you have that for? Or, like, are you recording videos off of that as well?
I'll do a little bit of video. Man, I'm finally starting to tiptoe into the video and editing.
For the outdoors, and that's the OnlyFans, right?
But
okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah. You got me busted. I did buy my camera for feetfinder.com, but we're not going to talk about that. No.
Yeah, I didn't mean to bring that up.
No, it's all right. If y'all need me, feetfinder.com, Chris Brent, 2318. No, I made a video for a buddy. He had a gator tail. I just want to kind of show it off, make it like a for sale video. Never done really like I have this, a very expensive setup. And I'm like, it's, everything I've read on it, looked at it, is high quality video camera. So, well, man, I've got this new camera. Let's try it out. We tried. I sit back and edit, and man, my wife can tell you I'm meticulous when it comes to editing. I know I'm not the best by any means compared to, Phil Cockney or Tanner Mims or Ed Wall, people like that. I'm not even close to them. But for what I can do, I'm still very meticulous about it. I can stay up, and 2-3 hours on one picture editing, just zoomed up to where it's pixel squares, and I'm editing.
Well, that's the one day that you're talking about, like the 2-piece picture or a 3-piece picture, and like you're like the slide is off on that one, but I'm going to be the only one that understands that. And I'm like, man, you crazy for thinking about like you're overthinking just that piece alone, but it makes a difference.
Yeah, it makes a difference at the end of the day. But as a photographer, I'm thinking like I have this photography mindset going of the next guy down the road that sees this is going to judge me off of this image. Like he may see this image and push me away. Heck, even for some of these brands and stuff, I work for a lot of brands, and I'm kind of worried sometimes that what if I make a bad picture, they don't like it, and then it winds up being the downfall maybe to my relationship with them. I don't think that'll really happen. The brands I work with, we're good friends. I'm friends with all of them inside and out.
If a company takes one picture and kind of shoots you down for it, I just feel like that's telling you right there. It's probably not the right company to work for in general.
Yeah. But it's just that's something that's in the back of your head. I feel like for any photographer, that's associated with a brand, that's stuff that's kind of in the back of your head. It kind of weighs on you at night when you're editing.
I can imagine that.
But it's I just haven't stepped away from the stills to really just get into video like I had planned before. I don't know why. I just started because I told myself I would start learning stills first, still photography first. Learn how a camera works, learn all the settings and adjustments in the editing software, and then slowly transition into videography once I had a kind of baseline understanding of it. And I got just so wrapped up in regular photography, stills, that I haven't just wanted to transition into anything else.
I feel like it's tough too because reels are like really starting to take off now.
Yeah.
I mean, the videos have always been there, but the reels, man, they've been going crazy.
Now, yeah.
It's off the charts, man. It seems like that is the way to go. Like it's almost like still photography slowly pushing its way out. And reels and videos
Yeah.
is the new way. For sure, TikTok, Instagram. I mean, Instagram originally started out as a
Yeah.
picture platform. You know, it wasn't a
Right.
video, but it was pictures. And now they have, you know, the whole daggum. You can sit there and scroll reels on Instagram.
I think
all day.
not Vine, TikTok is the one that kind of really transitioned a lot of platforms,
Yeah.
and maybe even Vine, the one before
Yeah.
TikTok.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
a short 6-second or whatever it
Yeah.
was, but I mean, before that, you're right. There was just nothing but solid shots, and that's it. Still,
Vine
Yeah.
was good days, Miss Vine. But yeah, I've just like never transitioned into it. Do I plan on it? Absolutely. We've got turkey season; it's knocking on the door. We're gonna start off in Mississippi next week with a buddy.
I'll be jealous.
That's what we're doing. We're running a camera, so hopefully we'll try to video it and see what we get.
So we got a couple guys
But
this year
it
coming
was-
out in video, and Brian, who has been around for our waterfowl season, it'll be his first time turkey hunting and filming. It's going to be, I feel like it's going to be kind of going to get those moments where it's going to be very low
Yeah.
and discouraging with it all because how well turkeys can see. But as somebody taking a new filmer or new hunter or whatever it may be, you're going to have to realize
capturing
it's
that
going to be those
moment.
lows and
Yeah.
highs, and you know, it depends on where you're wanting to ride
Yeah.
with the wave.
Yeah. Oh. Man, last year, I don't know.
Yeah.
This is a microphone
Yep.
that goes on my camera, shotgun mic. This red right here, I mean, it's a little bitty. From the turkey's point of
Right.
view,
Yeah.
this is all they're going to see. You know? And I was talking to a buddy. He's a big videographer guy for Bandit and a couple other companies, Statue and stuff. And I was talking with him about it and about videos, and he was like, "What are you running?" Well, I sent him a picture. And he said, "You see that microphone up there?" He said, "You need to get rid of it or paint it." And I was like, "Why?" And he said, "That red right there," he said, "that'll scare them away every time."
Really?
He said, "They'll pick that out." And and so I'm sitting here thinking like, well, maybe so. Like if the bird's coming from the side, he's going to see this. So man, Tanner, we're talking, and he's like, "No, like from this angle, they're seeing this." And he said, and that turkey starts bobbing his head up and down, and he tucks in wings, he's gone.
So-
And he said, you're going to be able to, he's like, you're going to look back on the video camera and realize he was looking dead at you at your microphone.
I got the first
So-
debate of the night right here. So
Yeah.
I was told
Let's get it.
by somebody not that long ago. I can't remember who told me about it. They were saying that they would put like a red line on their decoys because other turkeys will see it like another injured turkey, and it'll make them like almost like a chicken wise. Like if a chicken sees another chicken down, it'll go after that chicken, right? So kind of that same concept. And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, that's the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard in my life. But who knows? And then that little red, if you're calling that a turkey, they see that red. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking out loud here. Like it's just crazy. That little bit of red, like you're saying, that's just nuts to me. I guess it wasn't really a debate, but
I don't know. It might be. I don't know how. I feel like a turkey would, if he sees another, if you attach a little red line to a strut and tom decoy out there, I don't feel like the actual tom is looking at his red line.
So is he looking?
He's looking at a blowed up. He's looking at a blowed up turkey out there. That's
So is he
on his
looking at that little
territory.
tiny thin line
So I don't.
on the mic when he's already hearing a hen from that
Yeah.
area? He's expecting to see something. So I mean, yeah, he sees a little bit of red, but who knows? It might be another Jake, Tom, whatever over there. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
You could say that with everything, though. Everything could be like, okay, what about this? What about that? But
Yeah,
debate-
it's everybody's got a particular
Right.
Yeah.
story too of do this and it'll work this way, or if you do that, it won't work.
and if it doesn't work, you're going to
You
be
know,
blaming that microphone. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
That'll be the
100%.
one thing that you're going to right
Yeah.
away.
If as a matter of
Yeah,
fact, I
okay.
actually did. We had a bird come in probably 60 yards clear across. We're hunting in a pine tree that's been select cutted. And so this bird, he pitched up on a tree, and me and my buddy were watching him all morning, just fire off, fire off, fire off. Heavy fog, and I'm like, dude, he's going to come down, and this is going to be like over and done. He comes down, pitches on the other side of the main logging road. And, I mean, I slowly run my hand up like this to zoom in on him. He kind of looked, and buddy asked, he's like, should we shoot? Should we shoot? I'm like, if you feel comfortable, if you feel like that's going to be ethical to shoot that range, go for it. About that time, I felt my hand just kind of slip off where it was planted in my vest. That little bit.
Oh, shit.
Gone.
We had that once last year.
And,
same thing.
That next day, I was talking with my buddy about it, and he brings this up. And that's what I'm like. I'm like, he had to have been eyeballing this. Like, I know we were camoed in pretty good. He had to have been eyeballing that. That's what I told myself at least. I don't want to say
could have been anything.
It's so tough. I mean, like my buddy, our buddy Brandon, he wanted his buddy Kenny out. He's hunted with us a couple times this year for the waterfowl season. He comes out. I have this little, I don't even know where it's from. It's like a 1.5 foot tall little blind, like little skirt that goes out in front of us. And I like to take it out just in case new hunters or whatever, just because they move a little bit or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Had a tom out in the middle. I don't know if you remember that video I posted about that tom and that fog. Okay, so that video, that bird sat out there for a while with his hens doing his own thing. Kenny slipped his foot just barely enough and bumped that blind, and that bird just looked up, same thing, tucked his wings and just took off. How well them turkeys can see, man, is insane.
Or how small that eye is, too. It's like, wow.
How small that brain is.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that kind of goes into effect. You're like, nah, there's no way that bird's that smart, or, it can see that well. As, I guess being human, as big as our head is, and everything compared to a bird, we're like, no way.
Right.
But it's there, they're smart birds. I believe probably one of the smartest birds
as they're sitting there gobbling at your truck or your back window. It's just, you hate to see it kind of thing. Now,
as they sit there and gobble at your, they peck on your tires.
You said you're going to Mississippi, you said, for turkey?
Yes, we're going next weekend.
No, you're good.
Shit, sorry about that. I had a buddy invite me over to his place, man. Started out very wild. He is a lucky guy. Sitting on his back porch one morning drinking coffee with his hound dog. And I'll tell you, this hound dog is his child. So they're laid up, and he says, hey, watch this video I'm about to send you. I said, okay. Sends it to me. There's about 15 turkeys. 10 feet away from him, just walking by the edge of his house. Like, he's sitting on his back porch, there's a little rocking swing, and I come walking by, and I'm like, dude, no way. And I'm like, when was that taken? He was like, right now. So I'm like, I don't, didn't believe him. He sends me a video, and he's like, yeah, see, look, I told you. And they're just kind of walking down the hill. And where his house is, he set up on an old power line lane, and he keeps it manicured, just pretty green grass and all. And he says they're out there every day. And I said, okay. Next day, he gets up, he goes out to the back door. Same routine. Him and his old dog. Sends me another video. There's about 10, 15 more turkeys down the lane. And he was like, sends me another video right after that. He gets up off the swing, walks around the corner of his house to his front yard, and there's 4 toms running around with a group of hens. And I'm just like, dude, it's like, how much, how much to come out there? And I was like, dude, I just want to run a camera. Like, I want to try to get some awesome photos of some of these birds. And he's like, dude, come whenever you want. And he's like, my house is your house. Have at it. He's like, I don't even hunt birds. He's like, I don't hunt at all. And it's like, I'm like, man, I live in Louisiana, the outdoorsman state, and I've got no time for my backyard, and I hunt them, and then you got him over here, he doesn't want nothing to do with them.
That would be cool, though. So me and one of my buddies were talking the other day, one of my deer properties, It's got 3 toms on it that's been running around for the last 3 years. The old man that lives down the street, he's like 2 neighboring properties away from us. Our woods butt up together. He knows those birds. Birds roost up behind his house every night. And I don't touch those birds at all. He likes to see them out in his backyard for the respect from him. I kind of just let it be.
Just let him be, Just
but at the same time, I don't know if I'd be able to do, like, if I'm watching these birds all year long like that, man. I'd kind of like to see the same thing. I'll go chase birds still. I'm not ever going to stop turkey hunting. But if I got like these birds behind my house, I don't know. I just like them to be around, I guess. You know what I mean? I don't want to just take them out or
go somewhere else. Kill them.
I like to see them.
Yeah, for me, it would be awesome because I would just, you'd catch me every morning, like a coffee, sitting out back with the camera set up. Yeah, just, I got to go. That double beard's out there again. Look, click. But he's been good. He's a good buddy of mine. And I kind of had that thought, man, it's almost like his pet at this point. He sees them every morning. They're obviously not scared of him. If him and his hound dog on the back porch and they're walking, 10 feet from him. But we got on a phone call and he told me, he said, man, his grandparents live just right up the road from him. And they got a couple 100 acres of cow pastures and woods mixed in. And he says it's absolutely loaded. So I have a buddy. He's never killed a turkey before. I've never gotten a chance to video it. So I text him and I was like, hey, look, I have a guy. He's offering to let us go to his place. You want to go? And he's like, heck yeah. I said, all right. I said, I'm just going to run the camera. I'm going to help you get on a bird, and hopefully this is going to be just a banger hunt.
Something like that lines up that perfect, though. I mean, that's ideal for those situations. You know what I mean? Where maybe those birds behind his house, you could have a little bit of movement with him never killing a bird or something. You know what I mean? You get away with a little bit more than your average hunt.
Yeah. Then probably your normal out that's on your public is hunting pretty hard. He doesn't hunt, so I do feel like them birds, they would be almost kind of like taking candy from a fat baby. It's just, just like that.
Challenge.
And that's the thing. Like it's you seeing that, and that's I guess another point. Like it's like a cheat code or whatever. It just kind of like stealing. But like I said, in a situation like that where them birds are out there every day and your buddy's never shot one, and especially the recording aspect of it all too. Maybe get some roll up and close shots of them birds. That'll be good.
Yeah, I have it kind of planned. I want to stick to the pasture side of it. Kind of give him just like I would say more raw turkey hunting feel to it. But if it comes down to that very last day, at the end of the day, I'm here to get I want to get him a bird. So that very last day, if it comes down to it, I'm like, hey, we're gonna go sit on the power line and hope for the best and hope that
something comes out.
Some of these, I feel like them birds, they don't get pressured like that. They're not public land birds that are just getting picked on and stuff. Them birds, I feel like they're gonna be very uneducated. They're right there behind his house. They see him all the time on his equipment and stuff, and he's always. It seems like he's always working on something. He's got about 50 acres, and I feel like it ought to be land cleared and a skyscraper built as much as he works.
See, even those pressured birds on state land, though, I almost feel like how pressured are they? They're pressured because the people are doing the same thing over and over and over again. But if you switch it up, I feel like it's like the bird hunt, like we talked about, like the decoys and stuff. Like if you just switch it up, or
I was about to say that's almost like the conversation we had about
It's something along those lines. Like if you're throwing a Jake and a hen decoy out there every single time, and he sees his buddy get shot over a Jake and a hen a year ago or earlier in the year,
they're not coming.
They're not coming to that.
No.
So what? You're gonna have to change it up, man.
Yeah. I also kind of feel that way about calls when it comes to turkeys. You get all these people out here and they're running, YouTube, social media is a big thing these days. There's a lot of people that learn a lot
for sure
from social media. You know, and I can guarantee you, at some point, me and you have watched the same duck hunting videos multiple
100%.
times. You know, there's no doubt about it. So, if you're watching these, if you go just YouTube, turkey calling tips or videos or something, it's going to be this X, Y, and Z over here blowing a call, and he's running a particular cadence. He's telling you to run it like this, or
No, you're good.
excuse me, I am so sorry. Is that
No.
dinging on y'all's end too?
I heard a phone ringing. That was about it. But it wasn't bad. I promise. I promise. You're good.
Sorry, they're not disturbed now. So,
you're following that same cadence as a guy.
But yeah, they're following the same cadences. But I saw a video just yesterday about crow calling, and talking about trying to get that afternoon, midday bird to fire up, use a crow call, and then he proceeds to tell him, you know, call them like this. Runs him a little sequence, and I'm like, well, man, now everybody's gonna, you know, you're gonna go to some area that maybe a bunch of people that live around him watch his stuff. They're all gonna get this crow call. More than likely, I don't feel like there's a whole lot of people that actually make crow calls anymore these days. But they're gonna get this crow calls that are all gonna sound the same. They're gonna get out there and they're gonna try to run the same cadence. So you go to one lane out in this third, you strike a tom up, running this particular cadence, you whiff the shot, then your buddy goes in the next day.
Yeah.
And wants to run and thinks he's going to run that same cadence. That tom's going to be like,
I've seen
no.
And it's funny because some of the guys around here, they'll run a goose call, just Canada goose call, just to get that shot gobble. Yeah, just for the shot gobble for locating. I don't know if it's just up here because, you know, they're starting to nest in the small, like, creek bottoms or whatever it may be. But there's a couple of guys that I know that run a goose call.
Man, my dad told me a couple weeks ago running a predator call. And he's like, you know, like for you coyote hunters, you run that little rabbit squeal and stuff. And he said you get out here in some of these bottoms over here in Mississippi where he was talking about, and he said they'd run a predator call. And he said sometimes they'd get them fired up, but you'd have to pretty much run two people,
both sides.
You know, 1, 10, 15, you know, listening, and while the other one's running, and it's kind of like, okay, I heard him this way. You know,
Shane Simpson,
off, but...
if I'm not mistaken, Shane, he's a big public land hunter. I don't know if you ever heard of him or not. He hunts with a Hunting Public and all those other guys on YouTube. He'll do a coyote call while roosting birds. I don't know. I think it's just something about that frequency, that high pitch, that'll just get them to pop off.
I feel like it's the pitch that gets them. It just gets them to pop off. And it's definitely probably something they haven't, you know, they're not used to hearing.
I mean, sometimes you go out there, you see them, you truck just right, and they're shot gobbling off of that. You know what I mean? But it might be just that.
Particular frequency, you know.
I don't know.
There's a lot of things, man. Last year where we were at, we had a logging company set up on the other half of our property, and we're leasing this stuff. But they come in a log, and one morning fired up a cat.
Right.
Dozer, you know, saw something across the property. Bird fires off maybe, I don't know, a couple hundred yards away from us, you know, just enough where we could barely hear it, but knew it was a reaction to this piece of equipment firing up. And it's like, you know, man, I wish I could replicate that sound. But
that's the hard part is you get that bird a shot gobble off of a predator call, owl call, and for people that don't know, and maybe they do, maybe they don't, owls kill way more turkeys than people think. Like in the dead of night, kill them. Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard of that, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a predator in itself. But like once you hit that call or in a shot gobble, how do you? What do you do next? What's your next step? I mean, because maybe you're just getting them off the shot gobble. Are they going to answer a hen call? Because they haven't yet so far, but they answered off that dozer going off though. You know what I mean? They're just
what's the next move after that? Yeah.
kind of, man, for me, I said that shot gobble is location. That's the satellite ping of he's in this area. This is where I need to be working over here. So I feel like that's probably.
Is he gonna gobble off of that that pot call though?
Yeah, that's what I don't know.
Right.
Birds are birds. It's kind of a gamble you're gonna have to take, and you hope
every
you got
bird's
him over
different,
here.
right? No,
I don't know. You would hope so. I guess. I mean, in a perfect world, you'd get him to fire off of a shot gobble. You'd be able to creep your way into him close to distance, and
I'll tell you what, a perfect world would be turkey season every single day. I'll tell you that would be the perfect world. But
that's right.
You're going to Mississippi. What other states you going to this year?
Man, I have plans to stop in Texas.
That'd be cool.
I'd like to get a Rio. Kyle, we've talked. I work out west, and so one of these days I want to catch it on the way back home. I'd like to knock a Rio off the list. Maybe Oklahoma. I have a buddy that's really big into hunting Oklahoma. Doesn't matter what it is, Oklahoma is the place to go for him. So he keeps talking about it. He's bringing it up every day. So we're gonna have to see what just things line up, and maybe the wife will allow me to go.
I don't know. I guess any state it would be cool chasing birds, especially turkeys in general. I feel like I had a buddy. He's from Tennessee. He guides out of Arkansas. He wanted to swap an eastern hunt up here and then a hunt. He said either a hunt down in the timber or in Tennessee chasing turkeys. I was like, give me the turkey in the hills, man. I want to see what that's all about out in the Smokies.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Just to experience something like that, man. It's just there's so many different scenarios and scenes that you get to see in the turkey woods.
Yeah. No. That ain't one of the, I would say, destination hunts for many. It's going to be Florida. Or if you're watching Maggie Williams and Clay Crafty, man, I don't know if y'all keep up with them too. But they just came back from Hawaii.
I did see that. It's insane.
Maggie went last year, and I think that was the first time that I actually knew, hey, you can turkey hunt over here in Hawaii.
I want to say the season was shut down for a little while. I might be mistaken on that, but I feel like I heard that.
Maybe. I don't know, man. I have no idea. Like I said, I saw them last year. I didn't know you could do it, and I was like, that's pretty awesome. Hunting turkeys in Hawaii, that has got to be among the most breathtaking scenery.
With the volcanoes in the background and
sunrise over the beach, pretty much. Killing a turkey.
What's a little guitar that they use?
5 to 7.
Ukulele.
Ukulele going off in the background.
Yeah.
Tiki torches
5
and
to
shit.
7 we're hunting turkeys over the volcano, and by 3 o'clock,
we're
drinking mimosas on the beach.
Getting a suntan.
Yeah, I actually had a buddy. He's down there right now in Turkey. Joey Kupovitz.
In Hawaii.
Okay. Different guy that I know that's down there right now.
That is awesome. See, and y'all know people like that, man. I haven't heard of it until last year.
Look at that.
And I'm just like, man, that's
incredible.
Oh.
Let me see. What you got? That is awesome. He's just overlooking the ocean like that's an everyday scene, like no big deal. But that's definitely in hunting, man. Ducks, deer, turkeys, anything that as an outdoorsman that you chase, you always have those moments where you stop. And they always catch you off guard too. Like you're not thinking about anything. You just like,
I'm here.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. This is awesome. Like you get completely wrapped up in the moment.
Yes.
And I feel like turkeys for sure is one of those things, one of those hunts that tends to catch more people than any other hunting out there.
I think just hearing that gobble first thing in the morning, and I think it's so funny when people say I've heard turkeys before. I don't. Turkey hunting ain't no big deal to me. you haven't heard an old Eastern turkey going off first thing in the morning. And it's funny when you take those people out and you finally convince them to go out, and then you look at their face, and I was like, I told you, man. I should tell you for how long.
Yeah, like I told you, this is something special.
And when it's like a dog training, like training a new dog, new pup. When it finally clicks for them, and you see that like click, man, it's such a good feeling to get like your buddies and stuff like that out there and have them understand.
Yeah, it gets everybody excited.
It's I don't know, I love it.
Yeah, I can 100% agree on that. I can think of one from last year. And it says, buddy I had last year. I mean, me and him really hunted hard together last year. I was determined to get him a bird. We're hunting 10 minutes up the road from his house. His first year in, huh?
Public? Okay, private.
No. This, man, as much traffic as you get around there, you might as well call it public. But it's leased land from a logging company. You know, we leased a block, and we've got 10 other leases around us. It's very crowded for what it is, but we did try a lot of public. We just weren't finding them, you know, like we had on this lease. So this first morning we go, it rained all night long, pouring. And I tell him, like, man, I have no idea how this is going to go in the morning. Like, it's probably not going to be a good morning. We're going to be wet. It's not going to be I don't think it's going to be a fun day. We set up on a logging trail that I, had pretty good signs of birds, had good suspicion that they were in there. No sooner, and we walked in a little late, definitely late on schedule.
Mm-hmm.
No sooner than we sat down, bird fires off in the distance. And he looked at me and he was kind of like, is that what we're after? And I'm like, oh yeah, sit down. Like, I might have been wrong. This might be a good morning. Which it turned out it was not a good morning. But, we went all day, I think to about 2 o'clock hunting that day. And that's all he talked about was that bird that fired off this morning. Where do you think that bird was at? What do you think, how big he was? What kind of beard do you think he had? Like, man, I don't know.
That's a whole. That's a part of the game right there, man. That's a game within the game.
Yeah, but but you catch those moments like that you tend to hold on to. Growing up in Mississippi, my dad and I had about 500 acres of some private land right up against the Mississippi River. Anything about the Mississippi River down south, it is prone to make you some dang good deer. So we have this land, and I'm a very generous person. I like to take care of my buddies, and so I had one buddy of mine, him and his dad, all they did was coyote hunt.
I remember this now. Yeah.
All they do is coyote hunt. So I take him out, and I convince him we're going to go hunting. And a bobcat walks out down the lane, and he wants to shoot it. And I'm like, no, like we're not here for that. Man, it just felt like a couple of minutes. It could have been 10, it could have been 15. 10 years ago is a long time, but it just felt like it was about 5 minutes. And he goes, hey man, there's a deer in front of me. There's a deer. Can I shoot it? And so what we're doing, we're sitting on an irrigation pipeline well. I'm facing one way, he's facing the other way, and so I kind of just slowly rotate around. It's a good 8-point. Standing down in the grass lane, maybe 100 yards. I'm like, yeah, shoot it. Smokes it, and at this point, I'd done killed many a deer. I still get the jitters, but just not the first time you kill a deer.
Barely talk, barely walk.
And so I'm looking at my best friend. Like I said, dude, we're probably 13, 14 at this time. Pulls the trigger, and he's just shaking. We don't even know if this deer's down or not.
Like that Luke Bryan. Is he down? Is he down?
He's already... Yeah, he's already shaking about it. And so I'm like, all right, hey, like, I'm going to text my dad, and we shot one. So I text my dad. My dad he's pretty dry. So he's like, did you hit it? We don't know yet. He's like, well, wait 30 minutes and then go look for some blood. And so we do. And I mean, this deer, the way we were at, is kind of like an elbow in the road. There was 15 yards up the road from where Boo shot him. And I mean, this the excitement of a kid, now I say a kid, but it's like we were. Dropped a gun. We're not even going to get onto that subject with his dad, but full blast down this road to get to this deer. And it's cutting flips. And that he killed a deer. And I mean, we talked about this for years.
The one thing that got him hooked.
Afterwards, Yeah, and he was hooked. I don't know if he actually ever went coyote hunting again.
Really?
After that.
Wow, that's awesome.
And what's crazy about it is I got him into deer hunting. A couple years later, he got to return the favor. He had got in with some buddies that were big duck hunters. So I have this land. It had a WRP built on it. He had seen birds out there. I deer hunted at this time full. That's all I cared about. I didn't know nothing about ducks. They convinced me to go duck hunting with them out there on this place. Man, the first time I ever went duck hunting, I didn't have waders. Like, I'm standing on dry land on a levee around the pond. They're out there, like, in there, but within distance, He took me back. The first bird that come over was a Canadian goose or Canada goose. I don't know the correct terminology. I've seen there's been a big debate about that recently.
The American goose now. The American goose.
Canada goose. Yeah. This Canada goose flies over, and I hop up out the ground, and unload on it. Hits the water. My buddies, they run out there to get it. He picks it up, and it's got a band on it. First bird I ever shot duck hunting. Banded Canada goose.
No, you're good. I do the same thing, trust me.
That's going to tongue tie me now. So, they're freaking out, right? And I'm just sitting here like, what is that?
Right.
Is that special? He's
got a piece of metal before somebody comes and gets it, or what's going on?
Yeah. So, we get done with the hunt, and they're like, dude, you need to keep this. Like, you have to keep this. This is awesome. Like, you don't kill these all the time. And I'm like, sure they do. I did one, my first time. Like, this is going to be a common occurrence for me, Man, and it was, I let them draw straws for it. Because I was like, man, I don't really know if duck hunting's my thing. I don't know if I really care about it like y'all do, apparently. So, y'all can draw straws. Were you able to keep it? Well, kind of. I gave it to one of the buddies. They drew straws, and I gave it to him. A couple years down the road, I get back in, I really pick up duck hunting. He sees this, and he calls me up one day. And he's like, hey, man, I got a gift for you. So I'm like, okay. And at this time, me and him had exchanged a lot of duck calls. He was collecting a particular brand. I had some of what he had wanted, and we just kind of swapped some stuff around. So I'm thinking he's got a duck call that that I've been looking for or something. Comes back and he brings me this band, and I'm like, what is this? And he's like, where's this from? He said, man, that's the first bird you shot. And I was like, no way, really? Like, you kept that? Like, you kept up with this? So he gave it back, and myself, I wound up losing it. Still sick about it.
Do you have the numbers for it?
But first, no, I don't. Man, this was iPhone 4 days. I mean, you probably couldn't.
You know how bad that sounds, though, right there. What we used to say, like here, like this is before flip phones. No, that was iPhone 4 days. I mean, it was that long. I mean, that sounds bad, man.
Yeah, I mean, that was
the good thing is though, talking about capturing those moments and the special moments while hunting. Kind of full circle, you get to capture all those moments just through the lens this time, and it's hunting and shooting without actually pulling the trigger on a gun.
It is way more exciting doing it with the camera.
Well, just that one moment that nobody even like realizes birds do it or an animal does it. You know, just that one special thing that they do, or the beads of water rolling off their back, whatever it may be.
Yeah. I always like the dog photos when it comes to duck hunting or field hunting, whether it's field, timbers, anything out of the boat, it doesn't matter. I always thought those pictures of dogs really captivate a whole moment. When you get a shot that is just a dog and he's just, just staring off in the sky, something about it, when you look at it as, as a hunter, you can feel the emotion just off of that picture. Like, you can look at the image of this dog and, like, that dog's got drive. Like, he's ready to go.
Popping out on the side.
Or, like, hey, there's, he's watching something. Or, heck, you can even look at it and go, man, that was a cold day. Just by the way, everything that you can catch in a picture.
I'll tell you one thing. If you took a picture of my dog right now, you tell him that he's got some smelly-ass farts because, man, this thing is driving me up the wall, man. It's coming right up into my nose. It's bad. But sorry to cut you off. He just hit us for like the third time in a row. It ain't good. This room's not that big, man.
It's getting rough
that big in here, so it's got hot real quick.
Yeah.
But you hear the saying, picture's worth 1,000 words. And I don't think that anybody really understands that until you are behind that camera. Because when you're behind it, then you're sitting there going, you want every shot you take to tell 1,000 words.
That's your job right there, is to get that reaction.
That's, at the end of the day, man, I have hard drives full of photos, and I'm like, man, this, this one just wasn't it. It wasn't it. It may have been a good photo in a way, but I just don't feel like it had any, just kind of any flair to it or grab your attention. It's not telling a story in any way or, something like that.
In my opinion, every picture's got its story. It's just when that story needs to be told.
I do have something like that as well.
If you just post it, it's just some random, but there's going to be a time where you can look back at that picture and it'll tell you something.
It'll tell you something was going on. All right, so I just made a post today.
I gotta get some Febreze. I'm sorry. You're good. I just gotta get some Febreze, man.
Go ahead. Come on. We pause it then. Oh. So you got a lab up under the table? Running him out.
Grab me one if you would. Appreciate it. Sponsored by Febreze.
I say sponsored by Febreze. You got to turn it. You got to turn it to the right a little bit.
There we go.
Get the logo in there. Well, yeah.
Oh, is it that right? Yeah, you got. I think I don't know. Whatever. It was bad, man. It was bad.
He's like, you guys are talking about me.
His feelings might be hurt.
But I'd posted a picture today, and it's been in the files since duck season. I actually think it like early duck season. And I hide it, and it was more or less what I do with photography. A lot of the stuff now is kind of like product placement in a way. I have all these sponsors, so a lot of the shots that I'm taking is tailored toward these brands for them to share, to push their product out. But this one, it's two guns from a buddy. They're hanging on a tree. They're on a timber hook, just screwed into the side of the tree. Okay, so if you got, the way I look at it, if you're looking at this picture and you see two guns are just hanging on the tree, you've got about 1,000 different scenarios going through your head. They're having a slow morning. They're just hanging around. That's why their guns are hanging up. Man, these guys got in this timber because it's in the timber too. You can see timber in the background. So you're like, man, they got in this timber and they limit it out. And they're just standing around talking, and the guns are hanging up. They're done for the day. They're taking a break. The birds are in flight between 8:30 and 9. There's a lot. There's a pretty wide range of stories that you can tell from a picture without ever actually telling the story, like the whole true story.
To make the imagination up is what you're saying. Like to have that person kind of live their own scene through that picture.
You kind of, and that's what you're doing. At the end of the day, we're giving you, as a photographer, we're giving you a story, and if we're not laying it out there completely, it's all up to your imagination on what's going on. What was the backstory behind this photo? You'll never know. I mean, I have some. You saw the turkey that I just posted. About 100% positive that was had to belong to an Amish guy in the area. 100%. I had a guy reach out and tell me exactly what type of turkey it was. The real domesticated.
I'm not gonna lie. I think that was my buddy Brad. I want to say it was my buddy Brad. I seen him post something. I didn't know what he said, but I seen him say something about domesticated up turkey up here, something like that. He's been on one, man. He's been on one for sure lately.
I don't know. It came out of the woods. I know that. It came out of the woods, big rolling hill behind it. Doesn't mean there couldn't have been an Amish house right behind there, because where we were at.
Here's the thing, though. You guys get specs down there and stuff like that. I mean,
running him out.
Grab me one if you would. Appreciate it. Sponsored by Febreze.
I say sponsored by Febreze. You got to turn it. You got to turn it to the right a little bit.
There we go.
Get the logo in there. Well, yeah.
Oh, is it that right? Yeah, you got. I think I don't know. Whatever. It was bad, man. It was bad.
He's like, you guys are talking about me.
His feelings might be hurt.
But I posted a picture today, and it's been in the files since duck season. I actually think it early duck season. And I hide it, and it was more or less what I do with photography. A lot of the stuff now is kind of like product placement in a way. I have all these sponsors, so a lot of the shots that I'm taking is tailored toward these brands for them to share, to push their product out. But this one, it was two guns from a buddy. They're hanging on a tree. They're on a timber hook, just screwed into the side of the tree. Okay, so if you got, the way I look at it, if you're looking at this picture and you see two guns are just hanging on the tree, you've got about 1,000 different scenarios going through your head. They're having a slow morning. They're just hanging around. That's why their guns are hanging up. Man, these guys got in this timber, because it's in the timber, too. You can see timber in the background. So you're like, man, they got in this timber. They limit it out, and they're just standing around talking. And, the guns are hanging up. They're done for the day. They're taking a break. The birds are in flight between, 8:30 and 9. There's a lot. There's a pretty wide range of stories that you can tell from a picture without ever actually telling the story, like the whole true story.
To make the imagination up is what you're saying. Like to have that person kind of live their own scene through that picture.
You kind of, and that's what you're doing. At the end of the day, we're giving you, as a photographer, we're giving you a story, and if we're not laying it out there completely, it's all up to your imagination on what's going on. What was the backstory behind this photo? You'll never know. I mean, I have some. You saw the turkey that I just posted. About 100% positive that was had to belong to an Amish guy in the area. 100%. I had a guy reach out and tell me exactly what type of turkey it was. The real domesticated.
I'm not gonna lie. I think that was my buddy Brad. I want to say it it was my buddy Brad. I seen him post something. I didn't know what he said, but I seen him say something about domesticated up turkey up here, something like that. He's been on one, man. He's been on one for sure lately.
I don't know. It came out of the woods. I know that. It came out of the woods, big rolling hill behind it. Doesn't mean there couldn't have been an Amish house right behind there, because where we were at.
Here's the thing, though. You guys get specs down there and stuff like that. I mean, we don't see that. That's something special for us. If you don't see it, that's something special for you down. You know what I mean? We could see it all day long, but if you don't see it all day, it's something special.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely something new for me. Heck, for one, snow. It snows down here like once a year, and when it does, everything shuts down. Walmart closed. McDonald's closed. Those don't happen anywhere except for the South when it snows. But it's snowing up there and stuff, and I was like, man, this is wild. It's middle of the day. It's 32 degrees, give or take, and it was actually a comfortable 32 degrees. My buddy leans over and he's like, hey, man, look behind us. I'm like, okay, I look back. I'm like, I don't really see anything. And he's like, no, look back. I lean out, and I'm like, oh, shit. Crap. There's big turkey blowed up right here on the levee. And he's coming out like he had a kind of a berm, well, not really a levee, but just a little berm around this oil rig that we're on. And he's at the bottom of the berm, just coming out of the woods, already puffed up. Dale, man, I think we've known each other for about 4 days at this time. Fantastic mouth collar. Never heard anybody just all natural mouth collar sound as good as him. He starts making some yelps, fired off. And I was like, oh yeah, I got to get the phone. Like, this is going to be like, I don't have my camera with me. The one day I left my camera in my bunkhouse because I was worried about the weather, getting out in the weather with it, fired off. And I was like, man, all right, phone, I can maybe make this look good later. Like, it's not going to be as good as my camera, but I can make, like, even if I don't post it, this is, like, I can capture this moment. I've never seen one of these. I know there are tons of people, especially back down south at home, that have never seen a bird look like
that's what I'm saying. I mean, especially to you, especially to people like that. I mean, I'll message Brad and be just like, screw you, man. Don't be messing with him.
Why you gotta do that?
Yeah. I say what Brad is probably one of the best turkey hunters I've seen. I don't want to say that because then he's going to get a big head. But Brad, like, they travel all over like state to state. They hit like 5 or 6 states a year in all public land. And I don't know. I know a lot of people do that, but bouncing to so many different states over the years and being successful time and time again, I don't know. It just says a lot about a hunter, I guess.
Yeah. That says a lot about the hunter that he is. I mean, there's no denying that. No, Brad, if you hear this, I did not take that in a bad way. I took it as educational when I saw it because I was like, oh, okay, this is what it is. Which, granted, looking at the bird, it is exactly what I thought it was. I was like, man, it's got to be like an eastern and domesticated hybrid or of some type, and he got under there and set me straight, like, this is exactly what it is. This is what it's called. And I was like, oh, really? Okay, cool. Like, let me go look this up.
Walking dictionary, Brad? Shut up, man.
Yeah. Like,
yeah. He's part Amish. That's why he knows what that is. That's what it is.
It's, man, what do y'all got lined up for turkey season? I mean, it's got to be right around the corner.
We start April, so about a month out. Man, I'll be honest with you. So last year, I stick around here mainly, and I've always felt like I want to travel. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I want to be like the best I can around here. I want to know where these birds are at all the time. I want to know what's going on, where they're roosted at. I want to know where they're flying down at, why they're flying down there. Just everything I can. So, I mean, we shot a handful last year. I think we shot 13 last year, which just weekend warriors, which I don't think is a bad deal. Yeah, I had to use my feet. I had to use my feet there.
She had to run last year, that's for sure.
I like taking new people out there, man. I like to have them experience all that stuff, the good, bad, and ugly. So hopefully this year we could either top it off and get some more new people out there. I got some guys at work to bringing their grandkids out for their first hunts ever. So you know, I got a kick out of that, and I mean, really, that's about it for me, anyways. But you,
yeah, I'm going to Alabama. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Alabama?
Like near Tuscaloosa.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you down there a little bit.
Going down
ways. I don't know if that works out. What made you want to go to Alabama?
My sister lived down there, so her soon-to-be husband is a guide down there. So he's like, "Yeah, come on down."
Come on, that's it.
Yeah.
I hope that pans out.
Kyle,
I'm trying to get Kyle to come down with me.
I need to get moving on this stuff. I need to get out and about. I need to see the world.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You gotta travel and experience hunting in different environments. You know, like we talked about earlier, there's certain moments that you're only gonna get from that one particular place. You know, me and you talked before about the timber. You know, you hadn't hunted in the timber before, and I told you that's an experience that you're only gonna get a good, true green timber hunt.
Well, the problem I'm gonna run into is I'm gonna get invited, and then they're like, "Well, I've already invited him 8 times, man, and he hasn't came down on the next guy to invite down, and then there goes my chance." I don't know. I always talk about the stuff. Like I said, I don't know even how to explain it, man. How stubborn, I guess, in my own area. Because even the combat guys, they came down or they came up, and Rob was just saying, man, you got to get out and just experience other places because you're learning off of that as well. And like we said, prior, when we were talking the first time, it's kind of the whole point of the podcast too. Talking to you from Louisiana, how you hunt down there, or how this guy hunts out in California, and learning that way. I mean, I'm basically making up excuses of why I'm not going down anywhere, but it kind of sounds good, I think, anyway.
Kyle's just stubborn.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like if the podcast is your excuse, I think we may need to end it since you can get out. But kind of on the lines of that, I can understand. I didn't really start traveling around outside of the private property we had till about 4 years ago. But then after that, I mean, it just took one trip kind of on the road. Well, I take that back. I went on a couple trips with my dad and some of his older buddies, but, grown up on my own. First trip, it was just a couple years ago, and it's completely different. There's something special about it, just you're on the road. You get on the road to go on a road trip. First thing you're doing when you get in the truck, hey buddy, I'm on the road. 30 minutes into the road, you and him are on the phone.
Give me 1 second here. The dog just
hold on a second. Kyle's just stubborn.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like if the podcast is your excuse, I think we may need to end it since you can get out. But kind of on the lines of that, I can understand. I didn't really start traveling around outside of the private property we had till about 4 years ago. But then after that, I mean, it just took one trip kind of on the road. Well, I take that back. I went on a couple trips with my dad and some of his older buddies, but, grown up on my own. First trip, it was just a couple years ago, and it's completely different. There's something special about it, just you're on the road. You get on the road to go on a road trip. First thing you're doing when you get in the truck, hey buddy, I'm on the road. 30 minutes into the road, you and him are on the phone.
Give me 1 second here. The dog just
hold on a second
here. Go on. Stampede of dogs coming. I think we have.
Well, man, we kind of
Well, you don't like seeing me now or what?
Chris,
You don't like seeing me?
Chris is still.
We're good.
Chris is still in here, so we're good. We're good. Chris is still in here. I'm trying to line your shot up, you know. All right. But no, Guy, you definitely got to get out on the road, man. I mean, it's different. You know, you talking about you haven't seen the specs and stuff like that y'all do up there. Man, you come down to Arkansas for a timber hunt. Say you go timber hunting in the morning with a guide service. A lot of them already have fields lined up that they can take you spec hunting in the afternoon and stuff. And that's, man, I have a buddy right up the road, probably about an hour and a half. And the amount of geese that he gets compared to what I get here at the house, it's crazy. You know, they invited me a couple of times to go, and every time I just kind of like, no, man, I really I don't want to drive up there to go goose hunting. I'm not a big goose hunter, but you know, I was like, man, I just don't really want to go. If I do, it's gonna, you know, I'm just here for the camera.
Watch that laptop, Jake. See that's one thing for me. Like the geese, I always talk about it too, where. And I don't know about the specs of the snows, but the Canadian, however you want to say it, I know what you say. I know what you mean.
However you say it.
It's like you throw that one decoy out there, and it can make it land 40 yards out there. It can make it land like 10 yards from you. You know, and that's like, you know, the ducks. You know, they'll land wherever they want to, right? But them geese, especially in the bigger balls of them. You got to be kind of more specific on where you're placing them, I feel like. And that's why I like that chess game.
Oh, yeah. I think it was Vendetta Waterfowl. I had a post go up during Instagram or something. I think about 1,000 decoys out goose hunting. And so now you sit here and think about that, and you're like, now, wait a minute. You know, as a duck hunter, you know how you start throwing 5, 6, 7 dozen out on some public land, you're like, man, this is this is some work. Imagine 1,000 decoys.
You need a whole crew.
Yeah, they have a whole crew. I believe they have a trailer just specific for decoys. But you know, that could probably for them. I feel like it. Garrett, he knows so much about geese. If Garrett's running 1,000 decoys. It's because that's exactly what it's going to take to pull these birds in. You know, and they're not – these geese hunters, everything I've seen about them and people I talk to about them, man, they're pulling in just massive amounts of birds. I know y'all see the videos of just, you know, it looks like a cloud, just a big cloud coming in over a field. And then it just starts raining birds. And you're like, man, that's crazy.
I would be interested because I get very interested on like the 1,000 decoys and stuff, and like I'll run my decoys out, you know, 200 yards out or whatever it may be, and people are like, well, I can't shoot that far. Well, I understand you can't shoot that far. Nobody can shoot that far with a shotgun, and bird's going to be right here. Just trust me on that. So 1,000 decoys, because I run into the problem all the time. Like, man, where am I supposed to run these decoys at? Because if I push them even further out than that, then that's a lot of room where they're, you know, could possibly land. Yeah. Unless you get strong winds, that's a different ball game. But without the strong winds, that's tough.
Well, so for us, you know, we talked about it a little bit. Down here when you're hunting Arkansas, it seems like it's an unwritten rule that 2 dozen greenhead decoys is the only way you're going to kill any ducks. You get any public boat ramp or anywhere, and it's how many decoys, how many dozens you got? Oh, I've got 2 dozen greenheads, all flock.
2 spinners.
Okay. You know, is that what it takes to kill birds? Well, no, that's just what, you know, that's what we've had the luck on, and that's what these guys are running over here. You know, this guy they seen on social media, and at the end of the day, I like to mix it up, man. Last year I had 12 widgeon decoys. Now, we see a decent amount of widgeon, but I hunt some places where we don't hardly see any. But at the same time, you know, we're getting birds on the water. I'm getting shot, you know, photos of birds, you know, feet touching the water. over the top of a widgeon decoy. I've got a mallard. I mean, in one photo somewhere, if something went wrong with the photo, it was not as crisp as I would like it to be to post. But I mean, this bird is landing. I mean, it looks like he's riding this widgeon decoy.
That'd be sick.
At the same time, I'm kind of like, at the same time, I'm kind of like, man, I really don't want to post this even if it was perfect, because then I'm gonna start going to the boat ramp and this guy's got four widgeon decoys in here.
Yeah.
Like,
See, what's crazy though is you're Louisiana, we're all the way up in Michigan here, and we're seeing the same decoy spread all the way.
Oh yeah.
Like between the two states, right there. So that means are doing the same exact thing. That's what's nuts about everything. And then I said it on the podcast, one of the podcasts the other day, man, these people complain about birds are stale or there's no birds around. There's going to be birds around. It depends on how much work you want to put in to find those birds and get them birds down in the decoys. I mean, if you want them that bad, they'll be there.
Definitely. I think you show them something different too. You find them showing something different.
That's what I'm saying. Stale birds will then give them something different. Throw maybe 3 mallards out there. Whatever it takes to be different and have them be natural.
100% agree. I feel like that is a big, kind of make or break moment, especially now. Duck hunting has grown exponentially from, the time that we were all kids. And so these birds they're migrating from all the way up north, Canada, and coming all the way down. By the time they make it down here, down south to us, they've seen literally every decoy spread thrown from the top of the country to the bottom. When they get down here, you have got to be a little bit different. You got to try to sound. You got to try to sound a little bit different on the calls. You got to try to set up in a different way. Something's got to. I feel like something has to give in more or less our old school mentality of this 24 flock decoys. To me, it's nice and it's easy. Are you always the most successful with this, or would you be better? Maybe if you ran 24 decoys and a half a dozen of teal or something, or you threw in some widgeon, you mixed it up, because, like I said, I can go to public. We go hunt up north of Arkansas in the timber, and you can probably walk down every boat ramp, and out of 100 boats, there's maybe 4 or 5. That was like
the whole swan thing that me and you talked about the first phone call. We get all these swans later in the year. Throw 2 swans out there. Throw 4 swans out there. Throw whatever, and throw 24 goose floaters instead of ducks. Don't throw any ducks. Just throw geese. Let's see what happens. I bet you're going to be more successful than you think.
I think
so. Same with turkey hunting too. I mean, throw 2 hens out there instead of just 1 hen and a jake. Throw something just different and be different, and see how much more successful you're going to be.
Absolutely. You mix it up a little bit. And just see, and it's kind of one of them things, man. You get a lot of people that are stuck in their ways and are scared to experiment with stuff, and it winds up hurting them in the long run.
For sure.
They don't want to try this.
That's all right. That's all right. They need to hear that.
We need to go there.
You get a lot of people that don't want to try something new unless they have seen it on social media from somebody else.
But then they want to complain that it ain't working when they're doing the same thing over and over again.
That, and Bo Brooks. I don't know if y'all know Bo Brooks. Fantastic 100%. Turkey caller. Bo Brooks giving out all types of secrets that he can do, his calling techniques that you don't hear anybody else do. You don't hear anybody else talk about it. And I picked up on some stuff, kind of talked to him a little bit at NWTF for just a couple of minutes. He's got this kind of yelp cackle crossed together. Dude, I don't know what he calls it. He just posted a video of it not too long ago.
Because he does that mockingbird all the time too. But
now he's given a yelp. He's on a yelp sequence, and then like middle yelp, it's cackle, and it's right back into the yelp. You know, he's talking about he gets a lot of birds fired up with that. Okay, well the thing is, Bo Brooks is good. He's been doing this for years. You know, now where he learned it from, we'll probably never know. If he just up and did it on his own, you know, kudos to him. But what people do see is Bo Brooks is posting all these videos, killing birds, all over the country. Well, now some kid out here is going to see this and go, "Oh, well, I need to be exactly like Bo Brooks."
That's where you're wrong. You need to be just like yourself, but learn your own way.
Yeah, as I say, well, what you got to understand is Bo Brooks, you know, and this kid over here, he doesn't know this sequence. He's hearing it for the first time. And sure, you know, you can sit here and learn it for sure. You can learn anything.
Here's a question, just in that. When do you even use that cadence? And do you know why you use that cadence in that time? So kids listening to that, that's a good question to ask them. What does that mean to you? Or what does that mean to a turkey? Why do you use that call? Well, guess what? You ain't gonna be Bo Brooks.
When? At what point do you use it when you know the birds are quiet and you're trying to get them to strike up? Do you use it when he's hung out at 80 yards and you want to finish him in? You know, but they see this type of stuff and then, you know, it's followed up immediately, you know. Oh, my bad. The next picture is Bo Brooks. He's, you know, carrying a turkey out. And it's like, you know, hey, congratulations, but that's not how it really went down. You know, we're not going to talk about the thousands of miles you just traveled to get to, you know, to this state where you can find these birds. The amount of hours that you just spent, you know, moving around to find these birds. Granted, and even if, let's say you did it with a guide service or, you know, Chris, you're about to go down to Alabama. You're probably going to go down there and be successful. At the end of the day, is it because you went down there and you got this bird, or is it because your brother-in-law was like, he's put in the work. He knows exactly everything that you need to know, gives you the information that you need to go get the job done. You know, and that's the difference. And that's kind of where I do have a love-hate relationship with social media. Because some things get sold on social media that's not really telling you everything
like
you need to know.
Like that dang TikTok mic you were trying to use before we started this.
Yeah. It's not telling you it's not telling you everything you need to know at the end of the day. And so then you get people out here trying stuff, you know, especially the younger generation. Younger generation, sometimes they just don't seem as, you know, strong-willed.
Well, I think
some.
Go ahead.
And what I see happen with a lot of people. My little brother, for one, is a prime example. He saw this video. I don't remember who it was. He sent it to me. Guy's doing a refuge feed call, and he's like, "Man, I want to learn how to do that." And I'm like, "There's no need to. I'm like, unless you plan on going into competition calling, there's no need to do it." Now, my brother, he's stubborn as they come. He wants to learn how to do this refuge feed call so bad because it sounds cool because he saw it on social media. He can't learn it. Now, I've asked my little brother to go duck hunt with me multiple times. He has no interest in it. And he just has no interest in it. I'm like, why? And it was, you know, that year, which was just a couple of years ago, I think probably 3 years ago, was when this conversation happened with me and my little brother. And we haven't been hunting together since. You know, it's kind of like he didn't learn it. He got frustrated.
Yeah.
And he gave up.
He doesn't want to learn from you.
You know? And
well, that's what I was going to say about like that the Bo Brooks call. Even if you learn that call or like any call or the feeder call from whatever call it is, just because you know that call doesn't mean you're going to be successful. Again, you got to know when to use it, when not to use it, why it's being used. there's detailed stuff that goes behind it. So don't feel so bad or don't get discouraged if it doesn't work. There was a reason why it didn't work. So learn off of that instead of getting down on it.
Yeah. There's a reason it didn't work for the situation that you were in. Now, granted, you could have taken that. You may have taken that same call and go somewhere else, and it worked perfectly on the next bird. It could just be the bird. You know what I mean? You may be in the exact same situation that you were in at point A, and it did not work. You go to point B, and this bird just reacts different to it. But
that's a difficult thing to try to, I guess, influence people to understand or try to come across not being a cocky guy or arrogant guy, but just genuinely trying to teach somebody. Because I could see as a younger kid somebody coming at me and saying this or that or whatever, and it's like, no, dude, this guy does it all the time. Like, what do you mean it doesn't work? Like, mind your own business. I get it. But just take a step back, man. Just
take a step back. Go out with someone who's actually doing it. Learn firsthand instead of a video or whatever,
And I'll be the first to say it too.
Learning.
It's hard to say then, and it's easy to say now.
Now, yeah.
Kind of being at that part and being the one that I'm just going out there and doing whatever I want to do. And I've seen enough videos where I'm going to get it done. Oh, man. I mean, the older guys, they've been there. They've done it. You know what I mean? It's, again, I'll be the first one to admit that I was that young, stubborn kid that was.
I have been there. Heck, it wasn't too long ago. I kind of got humbled running a camera, watching these videos of nighttime long exposure shooting. I just sit there and I watch, 20 videos on how to do it. And I go, oh, man, I can do this. Like, he did it, and this, here, I've got it. No problem. I go to set up to do it, botched it completely. And then I look back and I'm kind of like, okay, well, what's, now I'm going back to research, like, what's different between these people's videos, what they did, and so now I'm sitting here trying to learn it, and eventually I had to go out and play around and figure it out myself before I'm like, okay, this is exactly where it went wrong. The type of dark, I'm going to say the night ambient light that you get in the sky close to the city versus way out in the country. Totally different.
Yeah,
I'm wondering why my feature of the Milky Way galaxy is not looking like the Milky Way galaxy, and instead it's just looking like a extremely gray screen.
I never really thought of it like the inner city and like the outer. Like I never really kind of put two and two together. But it makes sense. The lights coming off, and I mean we go up north here and it's black outside, but down here it's dark, but it ain't up north dark.
Yeah, I mean you go by my house. There's a greenhouse. Yeah. It's light. Oh yeah, all the time.
100%. 100%. I mean, yeah, that is a good point with all of that, and that's something that is overlooked very easily too.
I mean, that's just like I'm saying, that translates directly to the I use Bo Brooks, and if he hears this, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, Bo, but it just kind of translates directly because I was guilty of it. I sat here and watched this stuff and thought to myself, "Oh, I can do it," because they did it. Without knowing the full context of things. I didn't have all the parameters in check to match up with what they replicated. And, I kind of feel that's one of the kind of dark sides of social media that it has come to. You see half of it, not all of it.
No, and it kind of leads me to my next question. And I know there's a lot of questions to be asked and a lot of debates to be asked. So before I even ask this question, we're going to have a part 2, probably 3, maybe even 4.
I think
because there's a lot to talk about with this, man, because all of this stuff is solid, but there's been a lot of big companies that you've worked for and done work for, like you've been behind the lens of them, right? there is a lot of right ways of doing things and a lot of wrong ways of doing things to be noticed in your field. What are some things that maybe the younger generation or newer hunters or whatever it may be, what are some ups and downs that you've, kind of dealt with? Even like the Migra, we kind of met through Migra, in a sense, working for them, not to say you're like what you're about to say, but there's a lot of good and bad with everything. So what have you dealt with before I keep on rambling on and keep going?
Well, do you mean like when you say this, you're talking about like in the aspects of the social media industry of it, or in the personal side?
I guess it's social media, because the social media, it's we talked about like the post staff before, like on some previous calls, and reaching out and just doing it the wrong way. And I know you got a lot of experience working with good companies.
Yeah. Well, I'll start off by saying this. I've admitted before to many people when I did kind of dive into the pro staff side of things, I did it completely wrong. So
I'm drawn. Do my question even make sense? Because it doesn't even make sense to me right now, to be honest with you.
Are you saying like what made Chris stand out more from other people, or?
Let me think about this.
I thought he was kind of getting at like what was right and wrong. Like
okay,
the right way
okay. If you got that, then because I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, I don't even know if I understand my own question that I even asked. So okay, so if you get it,
well,
okay, I'm good with it then.
I think you're going with the right way to do it and the wrong way, and kind of like the right reasons and the wrong reasons to be pro staff in a way.
And right? Just the ups and downs of it all, I guess. There's a lot, like you said, there's ups and downs with why people follow Bo Brooks and do his calls, but don't understand it. There's a lot of that going on, just in different ways, I guess. Did I even confuse you even more?
All right, so now you kind of
okay, time out.
Yeah,
all right, give me a second.
Yeah. We're going to have to
we're going to leave that in there. Screw that. We're leaving it in. Maybe not. We'll cut that out. I'll flag that. But so what are some you work with some big companies, you take a lot of pictures for some bigger companies. It's hard to get involved with that. And there's a lot of bad ways to present yourself in front of these companies in a very fast manner.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. There's a right way to present yourself and a wrong way. And if you mess up and do it the wrong way, it's going to take you a while to kind of get back in their good gracious most of the time. The way I look at it when I do anything with pro staff, when I work with any company, you can see I have Huck on right now. He's a good friend of mine, lives right up the road from me. And it took me a while actually to get on with him. But it was things he was looking at, more or less of, is he serious about what he's doing? Is this just a one and done deal? Is he out to just get, free gear, which is a big issue within the pro staff industry. Man, the pro staff world itself, it goes up and down nonstop. You have people coming and going every day. And it's because you have the bad eggs that want in just so they can get free stuff, or, they can be cool and have a company in their bio, or you have the other ones that are, die hard serious about it. I have several companies that I have a discount code for, that a commission code. Don't post it. I'm not here working with you to, make a check off of you at the end of the year. I don't want it. You take these companies, they take care of me throughout the year. I take care of them. Now, you get a lot that are doing this for I'm going to say the clout. They want the popularity. That's all they want. They want the follows, the likes, everything, the whole 9 yards. Companies recognize that. They see that right through. I mean, any company that has a pro staff team, they have a special media advisor. That's that person's job in this company. So they're sitting here and they're seeing this stuff, and yeah, they watch you for a while, way before they ever reach out to you. And so they're watching you, and they kind of get their own feel for you, because at the end of the day, they're going to reach out to you. If you reach out to them, it usually goes pretty bad. They don't really like that. Sometimes, some companies they may, some don't. In my experience with it personally, they're not liking that. They want to come to you about it.
With these smaller companies and like photographers and stuff like that are not, I don't want to say company like pages and stuff like that. Does that make, or the way that you look at it, your job harder with getting in with these companies? Like all these little like pages and little like podcasts will say, or what, just the guys that are out there just to have a name and try to get those sponsorships for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, 100%. Because they're flooding the market, and
just say it, man. Just say it. Get it off your chest. I know it's eating you inside.
I know some people that work with every single company that I work with. I pay attention to what gets posted. Okay, I'm a big banded person, right? Been trying to work with them for years. I see I'm a member of this Facebook group page, and probably 10 times during duck season, I see people asking about waders. Not once did I see anybody that is a Banded Pro staff member mention Banded's new waders. Not once. So when I'm going through the comments and I'm not seeing that, okay, I'm seeing Gator waders getting mentioned, and I'm noticing who's mentioning Gator wader over and over and over and over again. I'm noticing who's mentioning Sheen over and over and over again. I don't even work for these companies, and I notice it. I made friends with a lady that works at Gator Wader because I noticed her over and over and over talking about them. So then I reach out because I'm like, man, she knows a lot of inside stuff. How does she know this stuff? So we reach out, we start talking, now we're friends, but I don't see it with Banded. So now, and then you get on Instagram, and once you kind of get in with the group, it seems like their people just kind of trickle into you.
I mean, look at me and you, basically.
Right, so... yeah, I mean, as Migra's a great example, right? So I just officially got on with Migra a little while back. And past couple of months, it's been just more and more and more people that's starting to follow me, that is getting put in front of me, that I'm following, that are all, kind of related in some way to Migra, or they're posting Migra content. Well, the same happened with me for Banded. So now I'm seeing all of these people, and I'm starting to try to I'm kind of piecing the puzzle together. Like, okay, you're a pro staff somehow, but you're not doing pro staff work.
Now, whose fault does that fall underneath? Because are you signing a dotted line and understanding what actual pro staff means, or are you just?
It's both. That's a two-way street.
I feel like a lot of people don't understand that now.
What it means to be that, yeah.
Like, it's not just something where it's, oh, sweet, I'll get to put it on my Instagram page now, and hopefully more people talk to me.
I feel like a lot of kids now, that's what they want to do. They just want that thing on their Instagram or whatever.
But without even knowing. So they should be posting and doing the extra, but they don't know.
That's what. Yeah,
so at the end of the day, now whose fault is it?
Well,
who's telling them that you have to, not that you have to, but you should
make
try to promote, or that's the right way of doing it. Like, we're helping you out here. Yeah. Help us out, besides just a couple pictures and tagging us in it. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bounce that off to the person itself, to the person that is actually doing the posting. Because if you feel that you can, take on this company and you can be a representation of that company, then I feel like it's your responsibility to do so. You shouldn't have to be told.
That's tough.
the stuff
That's tough because I feel like it depends on how you grew up too. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's true, but did anybody grow up wrong wanting to do this? Did anybody kind of? I mean, how did you how did you grow up and go, man, I want to be this person, I want to be popular, or I want to be social media famous and stuff like this, and expect not to have an extra workload and
that's
stress
debatable,
on top
man.
of
Because
it.
even like I feel like a lot of people, like look at TikTok, all the people that are famous off of TikTok, and they're just doing their thing, or streamers that don't have to really promote, but people are just flooding into them. You know, people see it like that, like where they're way above everybody else,
Yeah.
and to a point, you should have that confidence in you. Like I said, to a point, but and that's where it gets tough with the kids these days, or the younger generation, and growing up and seeing the wrong stuff on YouTube and not understanding completely what goes into it and what's expected. Like I said, I understand it.
Yeah,
We all understand it. But if I'm just an average hunter, yeah, I want to get a bunch of likes and be noticed by all these companies and these companies reaching out. I'm not, I don't know. It's a two-way street for sure.
for sure. As an average hunter, I see it all the time. The average hunter that goes duck hunting, gets a strap full, takes a picture, wants to post on social media. Who doesn't? You just killed a strap, sure. And then they tag all these people in it, and you can tell, you can kind of tell by the way they tag and put all these, who they tag and how they put these hashtags in, if they're chasing for attention from that company, or they just want to put it out there, like, hey, this is who, this is what we did, this is who I am.
We got like 8 different like clothing apparel companies on the same pictures. Like, man, who you running with here? Because you're bouncing me around all over the place.
Yeah, no, that's a great example. You see that picture that's got 8 different companies that are all doing the same thing. He's fishing.
Whoever takes the bait first.
Yep.
Yeah, he's fishing. And good for him. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, I mean, that's how a lot of people do land these pro staff spots. They go fishing, a company bites, and, at the end of the day, here they are. Now, sometimes that can come back and bite that company in the backside, because what happens is they go, okay, well, hey, for example, you just talked to Mr. Joey Hip. I did some work for Joey Hip for a while and wound up. Great guy. I just talked to him at NWTF for like an hour and a half last while. But when we talked, he was like, man, we really don't like the pro staff. We did it before. We give out a bunch of apparel and stuff, and we really didn't get anything in return. Well, that's when things kind of get, it leaves a sour taste in their mouth, in the company's mouth. And I mean, it was a while before they brought the pro staff back. They just, AFW just brought it back a couple of months ago. So, but the thing is now, I haven't talked to Joey personally about it, but I can guarantee you he has an expectation from his new pro staff program.
Oh, for sure. I mean, this is what I feel like as a younger company getting into it, you're going to bite the bullet a lot of times. You're going to learn the hard way because it sounds good and more people are getting at you, and you're sending, to a point, it's free advertisement, right? But on the other point, you're affiliating the wrong people with your brand. And it kind of goes back to where, like, the first time we talked, if we could reach the one right person on this podcast, that's all that mattered at the end of the day, right? Yep. Like, it doesn't matter if we have 1,000, just that one right person.
And at the end of when this podcast airs, I hope that it reaches at least 1 or 2 people that are interested in becoming pro staff and ambassadors for a brand, and realize, like, okay, hey, this is actually going to take work. Like, I have to work for this. It's not just a one and done picture and they're gonna pick me up. It's not how that works.
A lot of people don't talk about that enough either, you know.
No, and I don't think I've
nobody-
really heard of a podcast
They
even
don't,
talking
that's
about
what I
it,
mean.
or a YouTube, or what the expectations of anything really are.
No, nobody really wants to talk about the truth of pro staff. Nobody, they give you all, you see
Well, it's
all
confrontational,
the good.
right? Nobody wants to confront people, and
Yeah, nobody's scared
Right.
of the damage
Right.
that it can cause. That's kind of why I've been a little hesitant. But I mean, damage is damage. If we get off of here and this airs and a company drops me because of anything I say in here, it's just kind of, it is what it is. They didn't want me to be my true self. There's a company probably somewhere that would. Now, saying that will kind of go back to who you pick
correct,
to represent.
100%.
Don't just, maybe if you're first just starting out and you got it seems like there's 1,000 random outdoor closed apparel lines popping up. If you can get on with one of them to just kind of dip your toes in the water, by all means do it. But when you get with a bigger brand that you're going to represent and be what I like to call a true ambassador for that brand, you need to have a pretty good relationship.
100%. The backbone, the friendship, the family behind it all, you get consistently, but I want to be able to at least talk to you, have a conversation with you. If I don't like something, then I want to at least be able to explain it to you. And that's where I think a lot of people are just like fishing for it. If they get whatever, they're cool with it. They don't even know the company in itself.
Yeah.
We got one company that we were not helping out. We were getting a little bit of something back for buying their stuff, and we hunted with a guy this year that owns a different company. But so now I that sounds bad. It'd be better if I said names, but I don't want to say the names of the companies. But
I understand.
He came in. I got to know this guy a lot better than the other guy, because the other guy was kind of just slowly starting to push us out of there. Now I know this guy. This guy is, not that we got a ton of history, but I know what he stands for. I didn't know what the other guy stood for.
You built a relationship.
Yeah, you know who the new guy
Right.
is as a person, and you like it. There's nothing wrong
Right.
with that. I've been in that situation with a pretty big company. I'm not gonna give a name, but it was a company that I heard of, grew up. We all grew up hearing of this company, but I know one person from there. That's it. I only know one person in the whole entire company. I don't know what they stand for anymore. I don't know what their kind of future is. I don't really see what they have in store for themselves. And so when they kind of got to talking to me about it, I feel like, no, I'm gonna stay where I'm at. Like,
What does that make you as a person? You don't even know what you're standing for. You know what I mean? Like you don't even know what this person wants or anything. I don't know what that just. I don't know what that said. It popped up something, but it just, to be able to understand a company's backbone and what they believe in or where their vision is, and I don't know. It just goes a lot further for me. I want to be.
You gotta fill them out 100%. I mean, I talked to this guy for quite a bit. I got one. I asked her if I could name drop Gator Waders. Name dropped her. I asked her if I could talk about it. Sadie has been after me for a long time to get on with them. She is a fantastic person, but I've heard just a lot of negative that's coming from within the company that certain people don't seem to care to fix. I don't want to work, I don't really want to work with that, but at the same time, I may not have to. So then what it really boiled down to was, where does that company look like it wants to progress in any other ways?
Or
Or do they want to just stay with, are they all in on what they want to do? Because if I want to represent a company, I mean, like they're a waiter company, 100%. I probably will catch some backlash from it. I told you I'm pretty raw. If I catch some backlash from any Gator White, it's just going to be what it is.
That's tough.
Go
ahead. Sorry.
But they make the waiters, and they have a jacket series now. They have pants, but Gator Waiter they lean really heavy in the ATV kind of mud park world, right? And it seems like their hunting stuff is just getting kind of really kicking off and growing. Right, just this past year, you've seen Lucas Haygood sharing it, and it seems like it's really growing now for them. That's fantastic. But are y'all going to stop there? When I talk to some people about it, some of their employees, they act like they don't know. They're like, oh, well, it's kind of what we're doing, and they're content with it. I'm like, why do you want to stop there? Like, don't you want to grow?
That's where you're making your living. That's crazy.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that is people that is directly connected to this company on the inside that you can, when you talk to them, they kind of have, like, it sounds like they almost have doubt in their own company in a way. And it's like, well, man, I don't know if I really want to, just kind of put all my chips onto that table if you're not sure about putting all your chips on that table.
I feel like that's one of the hardest things, too. They could be great people that believe in good things and want good things for the company. But say you don't, I'm not saying Gator Waiters for you or by any means, but I'm just saying like a different company where you just don't really like that compared to what you've been using.
Yeah, and that's a really good point though, that you did your research on like talking to those employees and everything like that, seeing if you actually want to work with them, opposed to just being like, oh yeah, I'll work with you.
Because it's the wrong reason. You're just getting free stuff out of it.
Yeah, I would say that, just like Carl said, that goes to the wrong reason. If you just jump into it,
that's a really good example, though. Reason. I think people really need to sit down and, like, if you want to do that, talk to those people, build that relationship, see how it actually is with that company.
Right.
Yeah, this is everything. I really don't like the word pro staff. I like to say ambassador. At the end of the day, I'm representing you. I'm going out and, I'm telling the next guy beside me that I met at the boat ramp about all this, how awesome everything is that I have on. Or everything, whether it's Migra or this particular choke or this, whatever. I'm being an ambassador for this brand. I want to let them know. I want to let the people that don't know. Last year, I gave out almost a whole case of shells of Migras. Go to the public ramp, see somebody not shooting Migras, and it's just simple. Just walk up, start a conversation. Hey, man, you ever heard of Migras? Some of them, they have. They just don't like it. And, when you try to talk them, if you can tell they're just not really fishing for it, they're just not interested at all. You go, if they'll bite a little bit and entertain it, hey, let's get to talking. Why are you not shooting Migra? And you hear some of them, it's too expensive, or they don't sell them where I'm at. I heard that one a lot. And, went back with, the conversation you had with Mark. I was kind of talking about where they can and, have the supply to put these. And I understand that from the company side. And it was awesome to hear that from Mark. That kind of tells you how deep, how connected things can get.
It was wild, man.
When they're putting.
When you started talking about this stuff.
I listened to that like 2 or 3 times. The information that he gave out was fantastic.
Just how in depth and detailed and I guess open. I guess the right way of saying about it all.
Yeah. It didn't sound like he had anything to hide behind a closed door. He told you this is what the company does. This is why we're not selling here. We would love to. But, this is what's going on. This is our future plans. This is what we want to
try. And that's big, too, where a lot of companies you'll see, you'll talk to them, ask questions, they'll beat around the bush.
Yeah.
And that there, red
100%. That's what
It really shows though, you know, if someone really cares about their company, they're gonna be upfront, honest about it, and everything like that.
They should
you
be.
know?
They should be.
Yeah.
They're going to want to talk about it. You know, if somebody's getting into detail about it, it's because they're excited about their company, and they tend to overshare. And for us in the industry, that's a great thing. You really learn what a company is about when you come across that person like that.
No, that's 100%. I am going to be the first one to say it. I hate to cut this thing, and it doesn't feel like we've been on for 2 hours.
I think we have
Which
been
is
on for like 2 hours.
Crazy, but I felt like we had some very good topics, and I know for a fact there's some debates that we haven't even touched on. I mean, we could probably go with 24-hour podcast on this one here, because there's a lot of them.
I think we need a part 2 for sure. I think that's going to be in the works.
100%. Maybe after your turkey trip, we can get you back on. Talk about that turkey trip, and then talk about that other stuff we were talking about. That I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's get back on, man. I'm glad y'all invited me on. It's definitely a learning experience. It's been fun. That's for sure.
Like I said in the beginning, man, it's pretty crazy. I've talked to you 2-3 times, and Snapchat, text, whatever it is here and there. But it's just crazy. Like, I feel like I've known you for a while now, and it's just one of those things where you look back in like the hunting community, and you're so appreciative of getting to meet people like yourself and the companies that introduce everybody together, and it's seeing the good in things. And very fortunate to be a part of all of that.
Yeah, it's definitely refreshing.
It's a wonderful experience to think.
Well, Chris, why don't you plug all your stuff, and we'll wrap her up.
Yeah. Where can people find you?
Instagram mostly, man. I think Chris.Brent18 on Instagram.
And what was the foot one again, though?
I think that's it.
The foot one? You said you had the foot account. Are we not talking about this still?
Chris_Brent 23.
I got you.
Foot finder.
All right, that's the one.
Y'all run it up. $5.99 a month. I try to drop
small down payment. Won't regret it. I can promise you.
Yeah, small down payment. It's an investment.
I promise you, it's worth it. That's what the other Chris said, not me. I'm just letting everybody else know that too. That wasn't me.
Hey, Chris, if you want to do a collab, we can do like a Chris and Chris.
Let's do it.
Like $2 to guess.
Come on up here in Michigan. Let's do it.
I'm so glad we're ending this right now, dude. It's getting weird for me. But Chris, I appreciate your time, man. I appreciate you talking to us tonight and hitting some really solid topics that a lot of people need to hear.
Yeah, it can. Like I said, this stuff can get really deep really quick, and I wish more people would talk about it. Because I wish you had a lot more podcasts that were just open and raw like you guys are. Just don't hold it back.
It's tough because you want to be as professional, but at the same time, like we talked about, I want to be more informational than anything, to tell more and more people the right ways instead of just keep pushing the wrong ways.
Yeah, no, you can't just always push the wrong way or what gets you the clicks. You got to push to the truth sometimes. So I'm glad you guys got a podcast that runs.
I don't know what you two are going to be pushing.
It's been a pleasure to be on.
You guys are together for the Foot Finder, but again, I appreciate your time, man. I appreciate everybody's time tuning in this week, guys. Chris. I appreciate you, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
See ya.
Yes, sir. We'll see you.
That was perfect, man.